building a better Bay Area for a safe and secure future. This is ABC 7 News.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Z. Welcome to our daily program called Getting Answers. We're asking experts your question every day at 3 o'clock to get answers for you in real time. Today, we're talking about unemployment with the Employment Development Department of California. So you can post your questions on our Facebook live stream, YouTube Live, or check out our Instagram stories. So let's get started. We are welcoming back Laurie Levy, spokesperson for the EDD. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming back, Laurie.
Oh, thanks for having me. We appreciate getting the information out.
That's great, because the last time we talked, you said you were hiring nearly 2,000 people to help with services like processing claims. One of the biggest problems you encountered is people saying, I just can't get through. So how is that going? Are you catching up?
Well, first of all, I'll update you on our hiring effort. We were at record low unemployment in February, unfortunately, so we had low staff and low federal funding. Fast forward now, this historic demand for benefits, and we are getting more increased federal funding. So we are now in the process of hiring 4,800 new staff to come help us with the unemployment insurance demand that we are dealing with. So we're doing that in an expedited fashion. There's a great web page on our website that kind of gives you all the information about those positions that we're filling, and all of it aimed at trying to help us increase capacity just as quickly as possible to deal with this historic claim load.
Are you seeing any differences in the past week in terms of the claims coming in as California starts to reopen and people are starting to go back to work? Are you seeing the impact on your end yet?
Well, we continue to see, hundreds of thousands of new claims each week, and we'll have some new numbers out again tomorrow, as we do every Thursday. And we have paid, as of the last week, it was more than $22 billion in benefits. And that pretty much equals what we paid in the absolute worst year of the recession, and we paid that money in just a matter of 3 months. So it truly is a very historic demand. It continues at this point. But we are finding a lot of different things that do tend to hold people up. This is an eligibility-based program. It's an insurance program, and it does require you to meet eligibility requirements not only when you initiate your claim, but also on a bi-weekly basis through what we call certifying. And so I think some people continue, this is so new to so many new people, that this is really kind of the thing that confuses folks. And that's what we're trying to get out even more information about as we move forward.
All right, we're getting a question right now from Robert Lape. If I go back to work on a part-time basis, do I get to keep unemployment and COVID? Normally 40 hours a week. So I think they're asking about keeping their benefits as they go back to work part-time.
Right, and that's going to be happening with a lot of different folks. You may not even be able to go back to what you are normally at a full-time basis. So what you do on that, if you're on an unemployment insurance program, is you do need to report your income that you do earn. And you do that on your biweekly certification form. So for most people, especially on a regular unemployment insurance program, what you do is you report those earnings in the week in which you earned them, not necessarily when you got paid, but when you earned them. And then we do have to deduct most of that from your unemployment benefits. As an example, if you earned $100 in 1 week, we will go ahead and say $25 of it doesn't count. The other $75 will be deducted from your unemployment benefit. So if you were scheduled to get, say, a $450 payment for that week, you'd get $375 instead. A little different for a self-employed individual, for example, on a PUA claim, a pandemic unemployment assistance claim, and that is they report to us how much they earn at the time they get that money, not necessarily when they earned it. So just a little difference there.
All right, you mentioned hiring a lot more people to help with claims. Linda Rothfield wants to know, where can we apply for a job in San Francisco with EDD?
No, thank you. I appreciate the interest there. We do have a web page on it's EDD careers page. There's a great link on it right there on our front page of our website. You'll find it, and it lists all the different jobs that we have. They're everything from an analyst helping us with processing claims to office technicians to help us on the phone lines, even to some accountants and so forth to help us with making a lot of analysis on the documents we're receiving for Identity Alert, for example.
All right, Sandy Corbett Ballesteros has a question. What if it shows that you are certified and you never got paid? How do you certify?
So certifying is a very important thing. I think a lot of people get confused about. So I appreciate this question. Again, you have to be eligible not only when you first apply for benefits, but also on an ongoing every 2 week basis in order to get your next biweekly benefit payment. So that's called certifying. And for most people in UI Online, you'll get a notice in your UI Online inbox that says you have weeks to certify. And it's a process of answering some basic questions, about 6 of them, telling us whether or not you remain unemployed or with reduced hours, and that you're meeting all eligibility requirements. So it's very important that people understand the certification aspect and how you go about answering those questions.
All right, Renee wants to know, what about when you are getting money from UI, but the company applied for Shares Work program? How does it work?
Shares, I wonder if she might be talking about the work sharing program.
Work sharing, I think, is what she means, yeah.
Probably. So the work sharing program does work a little differently, and it's a great option for employers and their employees. And what it means is an employer can apply, and luckily we've been able to enhance that application process so it's all online now, which is a really good thing for employers. They propose a plan and they say, all of my employees, I don't want to let them go. I'm just going to reduce their hours by a small amount and then help replace some of those earnings they would have had with some unemployment benefits. And so all the employees basically fill out a continued claim, a certification form every 2 weeks to get that kind of supplemental unemployment benefits to help on their income.
I gotcha. So that's kind of sort of like underemployed at the moment,
right,
to prevent layoffs, if you will. Okay.
It's a great layoff prevention, yeah.
Okay. Rowena has a question. If you're not working for over a year, can you file for unemployment?
Well, unemployment all depends upon, it's a wage replacement program. So you had to have been working and impacted by this pandemic in order to be able to collect benefits. So what wages are you missing is kind of what we're being asked. Again, it's an insurance program. So somebody has to have contributed on your behalf in order to be eligible for benefits. For most of us, that's our employer. Some others will go ahead and contribute pandemic unemployment assistance program. The federal government is helping us out with those benefits. So we do look at your last 18 months of work history that's required on your application. And if you're not sure whether you're eligible, I would always encourage you to apply.
Okay. A lot of people are worried about their benefits running out at this time, the check stopping coming in. So here's a question coming in. Can you apply for a PUA, that's the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, after your Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, or PEUC, runs out?
Yeah, so basically in a regular unemployment insurance claim, you have up to 26 weeks of benefits to use, and you have a 12-month period, what we call a benefit year, to use those benefits. And if you exhaust those benefits, then what we can do right now is offer you a 13-week federal extension. So we've just started filing those in the last couple of weeks. We automatically do those for somebody who is within their current benefit year and have exhausted benefits. You should get something from us, not only in the mail, but also on your UI online account. So look for that, and then you have weeks to certify for. So I don't think at this point anybody has run through that 13-week extension. And again, we'll continue to keep people updated as we move along on if anything else comes out from the federal government.
All right. I have a question here about text messaging. To what extent are you using the texting program to let people know about their claims?
And I'm so glad you asked that, because that's a new feature that we've been putting in place. We have been strategizing on a number of different things just so we can help people keep informed on the status of their claims, and hopefully we can get rid of some of that uncertainty so many people feel, and doing a lot of different things all at one time. So text messages are one of the new things we're doing. And what we're doing is telling people through the phone number that you gave us when you applied, we'll text you on a couple of things. When we went ahead and processed your claim, when your first benefit payment was made, when we filed that pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, that federal extension claim for you, as well as if indeed we're going to have to get you a notice asking for some documents to help us verify your identity, and a text message when we are able to verify your identity. Those have been some of the touch points where people are really wondering what's happening, and we're hoping these new text messages really help. We've already sent out more than 2 million of those text messages just in the last week or two alone.
All right. Laurie, Levy, we're going to take a short break here on the air, but we're going to continue our conversation over on our Facebook platforms and live streaming platforms, and be right back on the air as well.
And we're in break.
Wow, Laurie, these questions are just flying in. Here's one that asks, how long does it take before you get your benefits after you have been approved, from Crystal Ward? Is there an average?
There is an average, and it continues. Luckily, we've been able to make a lot of adjustments in our UI online system so we can keep up with this volume of claims and automatically process many of them. For most people, a vast majority of people, it's a very clean claim and we can automatically process it. That means about 3 weeks from the time you apply, we should be able to get you that first benefit payment right around in that time frame, depending upon when you get your debit card, et cetera. Now, it will always take a little longer, whether we're in a pandemic or not. If we have to verify your identity, or if the wages report to us don't match what we have here reported by an employer. So those are the things that are always going to take a lot longer, including if somebody makes an error on that application. We're finding a lot of that as well.
Right. Yeah, that'll slow you down. So Debbie Devereaux wants to know, will the PUA benefits be extended after July 31st? I'm not sure if you covered that earlier, but it's worth asking again.
So the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program is kind of a separate program. It's almost like a whole nother UI program, and it's for all of those who don't normally qualify for regular unemployment insurance, or the self-employed business owners and independent contractors. So I think what she might be talking about instead is the extra $600 federal stimulus payments that the federal government has authorized us to automatically add to every week of benefits, whether it's somebody's collecting on the regular unemployment insurance program or on the PUA program. Those extra $600 for each week of benefit payments are scheduled to end at the end of July, and we don't have any update on that yet. So for right now, yes, those payments will end at the end of July.
All right, Marie Wynn wants to know, my EDD is still pending. It's been since April. I've been recertifying as usual, but every single week it's still pending status help. You do, I'm sure, hear a lot of these stories. Well, you know what? We have 10 seconds, so we'll take this back on air. Thanks,
Okay.
Laurie. 7, 6, 5. Doing the countdown. I feel like I'm at NASA waiting for the space shuttle to launch. All right, welcome back. We are back with EDD spokesperson Laurie Levy today. Thanks for joining us, Laurie. Over commercial break, we were on Facebook answering more questions. And here's another one that just came in. Marie Wynn wants to know, what if my EDD is still pending since April? I've been recertifying as usual, but every single week it's still pending. And I feel like there's a lot of that sense of perpetual pending, like they're in limbo, help. And is that reducing? Is that problem, as you see, being mitigated every week, or is that kind of the situation unchanged from a few weeks ago when we last talked?
Well, we keep clawing away at that through a number of different things. What we're doing in automation and trying to add to our systems, as well as adding staff. So yes, we are making progress, but I think what's happened is that we've seen a lot of people make some, because this is so new to so many people, that we've seen a lot of common mistakes that unfortunately means we can't automatically process their claim, and it has to go to staff for review. For example, pending can mean a number of different things. It could be on your initial claim, and most often what we're finding a lot of people are doing are transposing their social security number, and that creates a lot of back end work. We have to clear all that up, find out who that social security number truly belongs to. So that's going to take a lot of effort. So I would really highly suggest people, please make sure you look over all your information before you submit it. Make sure it's true and accurate before you hit that submit button. That'll help avoid a lot of that.
Yeah, proofread, right? That's what I tell my kiddo when they're writing an essay, too. You don't want that little mistake in there that holds you up. All right, Bev has a question. She wants to know, I've been waiting to speak to somebody about my claim, right, to get a call back, but so far nothing. Her problem is I messed up on the date and got an award notice and then a denied notice just because I put in the wrong date. No one answers the phone. So what can you do if you do realize you put in a wrong date or some info that needs to be cleared up?
Well, we do have a process to help with that. So if indeed someone has made a mistake, there's a couple of things you can do. Obviously, we know it's very difficult to get through on the phone lines. There are just so many people, and we just can't seem to staff up fast enough to help them all at one time. So we really appreciate people's, not only their patience, but help us in terms of trying to find some other ways and some other means for getting the information you need first. We want you to avoid that frustration wherever possible. So in this case, what you can do is take your award notice, write the correct date on that award notice, and send it back to EDD at the address that is listed on that award notice. Or you can go in and there's a new feature on our Ask EDD. If you go to the Contact Us feature on our website, go to the unemployment insurance category and then claims questions subcategory, there's an option there for backdating your claim. And you can fill out all your information there and submit it to the EDD. So there are a couple of other options rather than just trying to wait to get through on the phone.
Okay, that was good. Good info. Edward Borawiak wants to know, how do you waive the penalty weeks?
Right. Unfortunately, penalties not necessarily can't be waived unless, of course, you appeal them and a judge overturns them. So what we can do instead, and this is really confusing for a lot of people, so really hang in there with me. What we can do if you are serving penalty weeks, those come from making a false statement on a claim. Most commonly, someone's gone back to work and they failed to report it to EDD, and now you're collecting wages from an employer as well as unemployment insurance, and that creates kind of an overpayment and a false penalty statement. So what we do in this case is we can take you and we can put you on a PUA claim to help you get some benefits there to help provide some money on that gap until those penalties can be taken care of and so forth. So there are some options, and then we can even move you back onto a regular claim. So you're going to see a lot of this action sometimes moving between programs, like even between a PUA claim and then getting you over to an extension claim, all because we're trying to maximize people's access to those benefits.
All right. Donna Linda wants to know, if the EDD keeps me as pending past the July 31st date, will I still have the ability to get access to the $600 I've been pending for weeks? The CARES, the CARES money.
Right. That extra $600 that we're adding to every benefit payment. Basically, it's all about the weeks right now, the current time. So if we eventually find you eligible for those weeks, you will be entitled to receive the money that you're eligible for, no matter when that's paid. So even if you go back to work now, we haven't been able to get you caught up yet on some prior weeks, and you're eligible for those weeks, you will get paid for those weeks.
All right, Natalie.
And if the $600 in play, that would be included.
Okay. Natalie Alcorn wants to know, my doctor took me off work. Can I get unemployment, or is that disability or something else?
Well, it all kind of depends. So if you've got a doctor's note that says you cannot work, sometimes that's going to be more of a disability claim. And so we would encourage you to check out some of the information we have on our EDD website about disability. And I would also say that in a disability insurance claim, if indeed a doctor is certifying you are too ill or sick to work, sometimes that even has a higher benefit amount associated with it. So it's definitely worth exploring.
Okay. And Mondo Rodriguez has a question that I've seen from a bunch of people. What do I do with the extra money EDD keeps sending me if I started working already? Right.
So you do have to go ahead and there was a short period of time where we were kind of doing some certifications for people to try to alleviate some load on our system. And so that was generating payments. We wanted to err on the side of payments rather than not getting people paid. If indeed someone was overpaid in that situation, we're setting up a whole process by which they can report that to us. They won't get penalized, and we'll be getting out some information on that shortly.
All right, here's a question about the debit card. Ann Karen Ramirez wants to know, my brother has been unemployed since March. He's a barber and just applied a week ago, says it's been approved and paid, but has not received his EDD debit card yet. How long will it take for the card to arrive for him?
So a couple of things there, and I'm glad you raised that because I think this is something that a lot of people get confused about. If you've had a claim, any kind of EDD claim, unemployment insurance, disability insurance, or even paid family leave over the last 3 years, the payment Bank of America makes is to that card because it's good for 3 years. So oftentimes people may not remember that they have a card. It may have been lost. So don't waste any time. Make sure you get that card replaced by going to the Bank of America's website, and we have a link to it right there on our website. There's a Replace My Card tab. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can get that replaced, and then that benefit can get to you. Otherwise, once you are found eligible, after you're first found in a claim, we can pay you in card arrives within about 7 to 10 days.
All right, sounds good. Laurie Levy, we're going to take a short break on the air and continue our conversation right now on our live streams. All right, and we're still here with EDD spokeswoman Laurie Levy. A question from Tony Chrysanthus. He said, I sold my business. Do I qualify for unemployment?
I think it's one of those things that oftentimes it's a case-by-case basis. So I would always encourage someone, if you feel like you are losing out on earnings through no fault of your own, that's generally how the unemployment insurance program works, definitely apply, and we'll kind of work out the issues of your case with you, get any more information from you that might be needed to determine eligibility.
Okay. Donna Linda says, I'm a gig worker with a small W-2, but lots of 1099s. Does this disqualify me for PUA?
It doesn't necessarily disqualify you. The thing we have to do, we're required by federal law to do, is we look at all your income. So if you have enough W-2 income paid to you by an employer to establish a regular unemployment insurance claim, even if that's much smaller than what you could earn in a PUA claim with your self-employment income, we are required to file that claim as a regular claim. And I know that's disappointing to a lot of our self-employed or independent contractor folks, but that's unfortunately the way that the Congress wrote up that law.
Okay. Elena Nicarino wants to know, I check my UI account and I can't tell if my benefits will be extended automatically or not. Please clarify that if you can.
So if this is an individual who has run out of their up to 26 weeks of benefits on a regular claim, it all depends on when you ran out of those benefits and what your benefit year is. So for right now, we are automatically starting that extension claim for you, and you will get some information in your UI online account as well as a notice in the mail if your benefit year started on or after June 2nd, 2019.
Right. Hang on to that. Thank you very much. We're going to come back on air. Speed talking.
We just keep talking.
All right, we are back with EDD spokesperson Laurie Levy. We continue to answer your questions during break over on our live stream platforms. Here's another question from Renee. Can we set up a telephone conference with an EDD rep with our company, and how to set it up or who to call?
You know, I think that's a good resource for you on a localized level through the America's Job Center of California offices. And you can find the one nearest you on our EDD website. They're doing a lot of phone appointments, a lot of rapid response activity with employers in the local area. So I'd highly recommend that individual contact that local office near them and inquire about what services are available to assist them as an employer.
All right. Jonathan Cavillo has a question. Really, it's more of a statement. Stop extending benefits and help the people who don't have any benefits. That's not something you guys have any control over, Laurie.
You know, unfortunately, it is an eligibility-based program. You have to meet eligibility rules, and it's a wage replacement program. We are tied to the laws that govern that. So if someone meets those eligibility requirements, we are doing everything we can to process those claims as quickly as possible and issue that benefit. But if you're not eligible, there's unfortunately nothing we can do.
Yeah, all right. Griselda Pena has a question. How can I get a customer account number? Do we have to wait for it in the mail, or can we check that status online?
You know, good question. What we're able to do for a lot of people, especially if we can automatically process your claim through our UI online system, is we can automatically register you to complete that UI online functionality. You'll get an email that says new online account created. And that means we've automatically registered you. You don't have to wait to get your EDD customer account number in the mail. You can just go right on to UI Online and certify for your benefit. So look for that.
Okay, Coco wants to know, if I choose not to go back to work, can I still collect unemployment? Maybe you don't think it's safe.
That all depends on what we call good cause provisions. So there are some good cause provisions, like, for instance, somebody's health is in a critical category or something along those lines. It's really kind of a touchy thing. You have to be able and available to work. And you're asked every 2 weeks if you have refused any work. And if you do refuse work, and we have to go ahead and check with that employer who offered you the job and so forth to see if it's suitable work, you could be denied benefits. But it all depends on whether or not there's good cause provisions that have been met. So I encourage you to check out the frequently asked questions that we have on this topic on our EDD website under the worker resources. Really good information for you.
All right, here's a ID verification question from Sherry. My daughter received papers saying she needs to verify. She sent it back 6 weeks ago. Still nothing. She's been emailing several times a week, and no one is responding to the emails. Advice?
Oh, you know, it breaks our hearts when we can't get to people any more quickly than that. And I do apologize. I mean, and it's the unfortunate thing is we have so many people calling and emailing. We just can't literally get to them all. But just know that we are redirecting and training hundreds. We are building our capacity on a daily basis. Over the Memorial Day weekend, we had 700 people volunteering to work specifically on the identity alert topic. And the good news is that we've also got this ID kind of validation, a social security number validation in the system, which hopefully will say, hey, you have not entered your social security number correctly when we check it with the Social Security Administration. Go back and check it, giving people another option to make sure it's correct before they hit the submit button. And we hope that helps people avoid a lot of these delays.
Yeah. All right. Heather wants to know, why must I reopen the claim I just filed? Will I need to do this each time after I certify?
It's hard for me to know the specifics on what she may be speaking to. However, I will say that some people may not certify. You have to certify every 2 weeks in order to get your next benefit payment. For whatever reason, many people may not ever certify. And if they don't, their claim goes into an inactive status. So that just means it'll stay there. And if you ever do find yourself unemployed within your benefit year again, you can reopen that claim and start certifying again. But if you don't certify within a certain amount of time, usually about a week or two, then it does go into that inactive status, requiring you to reopen it.
All right. Nabia has a question here. I'm still working 40 hours, but I've had to take a pay cut in my salary for 6 months. I've applied for UI benefits and complete the certificates, but I'm constantly told I don't qualify for any benefits. Okay, so still working full-time in terms of hours, but had to take a pay cut. Qualify or no?
Right. Unfortunately, the way the unemployment insurance program works, if you are still working full-time, even if it's at a pay cut, we cannot qualify you for unemployment insurance. It is really an unemployed type of situation, which is, I know, not much help in the case of this individual, but unfortunately, that is the way the program is.
Okay. Not sure if this one is for you, but let's try it. Megan Ann Peralta says, I was denied from my CalFresh benefits because of the extra $600 that was added to my EDD benefits. So do they have the right to do that? Will I be denied from Medi-Cal too? Do you know the answer to that?
Unfortunately, I do not, since those aren't our programs, and apologize for that. But hopefully you can find some good information on their website to lend a hand.
All right. And here's someone from LA saying, how do I get a job with you guys? They hear you're hiring. So I think that's worth wrapping our conversation up on.
Great. No, thank you very much for the interest. Go to our EDD website and our careers, EDD careers page, and you're going to see a link to each of the positions that we're filling and exactly where they are located and all the other essentials about those jobs. So thank you.
All right, Laurie, Levy, thank you as well. Always enjoy talking with you with all your information and insight. We're going to take another short break on the air and ask our last question of Laurie on our live streams. All right, folks. Boy, so many questions here today. Let's see if I can just pull up a couple more before we get off here. And let's see. Okay, Kate wants to know, can SDI benefits be extended beyond 1 year if your disability has been exacerbated by the COVID situation, but I don't have COVID? For example, someone is on SDI for depression and the crisis has worsened their condition where they can't look for work.
That all depends upon a doctor's certification. So the disability insurance program is predicated upon a notification or notice, that kind of a certification from a physician telling us of what is required about a certain condition. So I would encourage that individual to check back with their doctor on that.
Okay, Julie Keenan wants to know, I'm working for myself, got qualified for the sole proprietor program, but when I received my paperwork, the dates were wrong. How do I update my online account with the correct information?
A sole proprietor program. So I'm going to assume this person might be a business owner and had applied for the pandemic unemployment assistance program. And I'd say if indeed that kind of goes back to that backdating issue I was mentioning earlier. So if there's a date that you feel is wrong in terms of the start date of your claim and when you were actually impacted by the pandemic, go ahead and go through that Ask EDD process where you find unemployment insurance subcategory claims question, and then there's an option there for backdating your claim.
All right. Hey, so someone else says they show $5,000 in their account, but they haven't gotten any payments in 3 months. What could be going on there?
And it's hard to say without looking at specifics. I think sometimes a lot of people, I spoke to a woman who said, I'm not getting any benefit payments. I don't understand what happens here. And then she didn't realize that she had to certify for those benefits every 2 weeks. And it was right there in her UI online account in her inbox. She just didn't recognize that she had to click on that answer those questions every 2 weeks in order to get our next benefit payment. So I think the certification sometimes thing really confuses people. Look on our website for a lot of great helpful information, including we're highlighting top frequently asked questions every week on a newly redesigned FAQ page.
It's like you can hear the director. With that, we're out of time. Laurie, thank you. Good to see you. And we're back here on air. Thank you so much for joining us today on this interactive show, Getting Answers. Today, we're getting answers from the EDD on your unemployment benefits. We'll be here every day at 3 o'clock on air and on live stream answering your questions, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, abc7news.com, and on our app. Thanks for joining us. Take care. And thank you, Facebook friends. Thank you for joining in today. Great questions. And thank you, Laurie. I honestly say this from the bottom of my heart. You are the best. Take care. I'll see you later. I can't.